The beginning of the atomic age. Mankind gains the ability to destroy itself, and with it comes inspiration.
We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon: the arrival of a space ship in Washington. The Army has taken every precaution to meet any emergency which may develop. Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
I came here to give you these facts. But if you threaten to extend your violence, this earth of yours will be reduced to a burned out cinder.
But he's a robot. Without you, what could he do?
There's no limit to what he could do. He could destroy the Earth.
All vehicles, close in. Let's go.
The Day the Earth Stood Still would go on to become a beloved science fiction classic, and is often hailed as the film that started the sci-fi craze of the 1950s, of which had more sci-fi films than any other decade, making it the true golden age of science fiction.
Worlds collide. Written in the stars is a message of doom for this, our world. And now, in the most shattering experience the screen has ever given you, Paramount tells what could happen within your lifetime when worlds collide. An astronomer checks and double-checks his horrifying discovery. A distant star racing through space toward an inevitable collision with this planet. The United Nations meet in emergency session. All conflicts pale before this threat from another world.
If you wait until the danger is visible to the naked eye, it will be too late to escape.
High on a mountaintop, an army of scientists work desperately to build this giant rocket, this modern Noah's Ark, to carry a few picked survivors of our doomed civilization to a new life on another world, reaching the heights of self-sacrifice, the depths of the animal lust for survival as they fight to be among the few who can be saved.
Let's take the ship away from them! Come on!
Fighting among themselves, fighting against time, as doomsday is upon them.
I think all you scientists are crackpots. Nothing is going to happen.
When worlds collide, you'll see the most amazing, awe-inspiring scenes ever put on film. The forces of nature unleashed in all their terrifying force. Tremendous tidal waves smashing New York City. The molten fires from the bowels of the earth gushing out to consume our world.
The sci-fi trend led to many films of aliens invading Earth, but the most iconic of these films came in 1953 with the big screen adaptation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
This could be the beginning of the end for the human race. For what men first thought were meteors or the often ridiculed flying saucers are in reality the flaming vanguard of the invasion from Mars.
Looks like they're gonna come out of that gully pretty soon. We'll have to rush our defenses to be ready when they do.
Guards need plenty of reinforcements.
We'll get them. Lieutenant! Look!
They slashed across country like scythes, wiping out everything that's trying to get away from them.
That explains why communication is cut the moment their machines begin moving.
Montreal's blacked out. Nothing more's come through.
Same thing that happened on the Pacific coast. Anything from them yet?
No, Mr. Secretary, we've had nothing from San Francisco for over 5 hours.
The nations of the world mobilize their armed might, rushing to defend the Earth against the unknown weapons of the super race from the Red Planet. Is there nothing that can stop the Martian death machines?
Guns, tanks, bombs. They're like toys against them.
We know now that we can't beat their machines. We've got to beat them.
All over the world, human beings cower before the onslaught of these unearthly enemies, whom no one has ever seen. Panic that sweeps around the globe as the great masses of mankind flee blindly in a headlong stampede of hysteria.
The invasion genre took another leap forward in the 1956 film Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, with effects by stop-motion animator Ray Harryhausen. The film was a change of pace for Harryhausen, who traditionally animated stop-motion creatures. In this case, Harryhausen was tasked with animating the film's flying saucers and their path of destruction.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets. The whole world is under attack. Can it survive?
The survivors of a disintegrated solar system. At this moment, the remainder of our fleet is circling your globe.
What do you want with me?
Arrange for your world leaders to confer with us in the city of Washington.
They set up an electronic screen. The artillery doesn't penetrate.
Never before has the screen reached such heights of excitement. Breathtaking spectacle. Hair-raising terror. See the saucermen's high-frequency disintegrators. See flying saucers travel thousands of miles in seconds. See great cities leveled by flying saucer monsters.
Russ, look.
The same kind of thing that's watched us since the beginning of the project.
People of Earth, attention. People of Earth, attention. This is a voice speaking to you from thousands of miles beyond your planet.
They're coming down to take over. They made that clear to us in the saucer.
To the best of our knowledge, my wife and I are the only ones left alive.
But not all invasions used flying saucers. The 1956 film Invasion of the Body Snatchers took a much different and darker approach.
Stop! Will you tell these fools I'm not crazy? Make them listen to me before it's too late! Listen to me. Please, listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
They come from another world, spawned in the light years of space, unleashed to take over the bodies and souls of the people of our planet, bringing a new dimension in terror to the giant Super Scope screen.
It's whatever intelligence or instinct it is that can govern the forming of human flesh and blood out of thin air is fantastically powerful, beyond any comprehension.
A cursed, dreadful, malevolent thing was happening to those he loved.
This isn't just an ordinary body, is it?
I never saw one like it. It looks unused.
The sensational star discovery of The View from Pompey's Head. And now an undreamed of horror makes her life and love a vortex of fear.
Jack!
Miles, where do they come from?
I don't know.
Suddenly, while you're asleep, they'll absorb your minds, your memories.
I don't want any part of it.
You're forgetting something, Miles.
What's that?
You have no choice.
From city to city, an incredible hysterical panic spreads. As the unimaginable becomes real, the impossible becomes true.
Stop and listen! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Invasion of the Body Snatchers would go on to be remade 3 times, with a 4th remake currently in the works. One of the most pioneering films in the genre also came in 1956, with the release of Forbidden Planet.
Imagine yourself as one of the crew of this faster-than-light spaceship of the future, sharing their curiosity to know the unknown, their tension, their readiness for inconceivable adventures.
Sir, we're being radar scanned. United Planets cruiser C-57D, J.J. Adams commanding. Who are you?
Morbius of the Bellerophon.
Oh, Dr. Morbius, my orders are to survey the situation on Altair 4.
Commander, if you set down on this planet, I warn you that I cannot be answerable for the safety of your ship or your crew.
When you reach the Forbidden Planet, you will meet Dr. Morbius, played by Walter Pidgeon. The Doctor is sole owner of this fabulous world. Anne Francis is his alluring daughter Alta, who has never seen a young man till she meets Commander Adams, played by talented Leslie Nielsen.
Come on in.
Didn't bring my bathing suit.
What's a bathing suit?
Oh, murder.
You will meet a charming character in The Robot, able to produce on order 10 tons of lead or a slinky evening gown. Always at your service.
It must be the loveliest, softest thing you've ever made for me. And fit in all the right places. With lots and lots of star sapphires.
Star sapphires take a week to crystallize properly. Would diamond or emeralds do?
You explore all the wonders of a vanished civilization. You travel deep down into the heart of the Forbidden Planet to discover the incredible marvels of this lost genius race. These magnificent scenes in striking Eastman color stagger the imagination.
20 miles. Look down, gentlemen. Are you afraid? 7,800 levels.
Yet the wonders of the planet Altair 4 conceal a strange and evil force, unknown, irresistible.
It was the first film to take place entirely on another planet, as well as influencing many future sci-fi films. But it is perhaps best remembered for introducing the world to Robbie the Robot, who would go on to make multiple appearances in various films and shows throughout the years.
How do you do? I'm a mechanical man. It will be several days before I can function at maximum capacity.
I ask only to serve you.
Your proposal is very interesting, but come no closer. I have computed you, and your memory banks do not scan.
How many other things can it do?
Well, almost everything a man can do if you program it with these little black boxes here. Or else you design a new black box for whatever you want it to do.
Uh-huh. Boy, could my wife ever use him?
You act like you're afraid of Chuck.
No.
Don't be afraid. Come here, touch him. Don't be afraid. No. Listen, this couldn't harm you. Watch. Lady of Spain. Besides that, Chuck, kill! See, he didn't do anything. Last, he would have been at your throat by now.
It is totally without meaning. Pardon me, sir. Stuff? Thick and heavy? Would 60 gallons be sufficient? I rarely use it myself, sir.
1957 would bring another iconic 50s sci-fi feature, but this film became iconic for a very different reason.
They come from the bowels of hell, a transformed race of walking dead, zombies guided by a master plan for complete domination of the Earth. Plan 9 from outer space. Starring the most nightmarish cast ever, Bela Lugosi, the seductive Vampira, and Tor Johnson as the Walking Dead.
With its low budget, poor special effects, and outlandish story, Plan 9 from Outer Space would eventually be given the title of Worst Film Ever Made, as well as giving traction to movies being considered so bad, it's good. But the sci-fi features of the 1950s extended far beyond invasions from outer space, with many films focusing on experiments gone wrong, the most iconic of which was the 1958 film, The Fly, which at the time was considered so frightening they could barely show it in the trailer.
Will everyone in the theater hold on firmly to his seat, please?
Stop it! Stop it!
I'm Vincent Price. What unearthly horror did that girl gaze upon? What manner of incredible thing walked beneath that hood? It would be unfair at this time to show you any more of what went on in that laboratory where a man actually dared to play God. So fantastic, words can't begin to describe it. You must see it with your own eyes to believe it. When The Fly comes your way.
A sequel was rushed into production and released the following year, but with such a small budget, the film looks as though it was made several years before the first. 1960 would showcase another form of science fiction storytelling, something that had previously not been successfully executed on film: time travel.
The creative magic of George Pal and the fabulous production know-how of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer to catapult you through time into a world that is yet to be.
Why is it that we usually ignore the fourth dimension? You see, we can move in the other three. As the doctor said, up, down, forwards, backwards, sideways. But when it comes to time, we are prisoners.
Inventor Rod Taylor's breakthrough into the realm of the fourth dimension is defied by his friend Alan Young.
If that machine can do what you say it can, destroy it, George, before it destroys you.
Every moment is a year, hurtling through the atomic wars of the future. Is this the human race of the future? Or is this the Morlocks, fiendish creatures who live in a weird underground world? And the Eloi, the tranquil Sunshine People, who the Morlocks dominate and maintain like cattle, luring them below with the hypnotic wail of the sirens, to feed upon them in cannibalistic horror.
In addition to exploring space and time, more great unknowns for which stories would be set included the ocean.
When the entire sky catches on fire, the burning Van Allen belt threatening to destroy the universe. You are there in a deadly rain of disintegrating icebergs. Not even the soaring imagination of a Jules Verne could have dreamed of such a fantastic adventure. In an atom-powered submarine that defies description.
You've seen the brain of the sub. In here is the heart, the atomic motor room. There is more destructive force in this room than in all the explosive used in World War II.
With a cast as exciting as the wonders they encountered. Walter Pidgeon.
We hope to see sights never before seen by man.
Joan Fontaine.
I say, the belt will burn itself out. At 173 degrees, it will burn itself out!
Barbara Eden. Peter Lorre.
Sounds like Sucro. Nothing is impossible.
Robert Sterling.
If I'm to meet your deadline of the Marianas, I need fighters, not fatalists.
Michael Ansara. And Frankie Avalon.
With due respect, sir, I think your judgment's been a little rocky lately.
Why, you gold-bricking pipsqueak.
You are there when the United Nations is thrown into a turmoil.
The burning belt must be exploded clear of the Earth's magnetic field. And we have exactly 16 days and 3 hours in which to do it.
Explode the belt and you explode the world!
You are there when the frogmen battle a mammoth squid. You are there when the mini-sub threads a life and death course through the minefields. You are there when the giant of the sea attacks. You are there in the most startling underwater pursuit ever filmed.
Sci-fi storytelling would also lend itself to post-apocalyptic futures, showcased in the 1964 film The Last Man on Earth. Based on the book by Richard Matheson, The Last Man on Earth would go on to become a sci-fi cult classic, as well as being remade twice as 1971's The Omega Man and 2007's I Am Legend. The 1960s would continue to usher in new and original sci-fi stories, one of the most original being the 1966 film Fantastic Voyage.
You are listening to the sound of a completely new screen experience, a startling new kind of excitement. As 20th Century Fox plunges you into the most incredible adventure that man could ever achieve. To make a motion picture that crosses a new frontier may seem impossible today. Outer space, the depths of the sea, the bowels of the earth, the past, the future, all have been subjects for the camera. But now, a film called Fantastic Voyage has broken through in an unexpected direction to create an adventure of astonishing suspense and beauty. Off on a fantastic voyage, actually entering inside the human body, exploring an unknown universe, unknown dangers.
They're tightening. I can't breathe.
24 seconds left.
After that, you're in danger of attack.
Come on, Doctor.
It's sheer suicide for all of us.
You are there with them, sharing a breakthrough in motion picture.
He's gone.
Give me your widest beam. Full power.
"1968 would bring to the screen a film that would forever change the sci-fi landscape, with the release of Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Directed by Stanley Kubrick, 2001 would become one of the most iconic and beloved sci-fi films to date, largely due to its ambitious depiction of human evolution, new technology, and artificial intelligence, as well as being the most realistic depiction of outer space up to that point. The film went on to be nominated for several Academy Awards and winning Best Visual Effects. Despite 2001's cultural and historical significance, it still was not the most iconic sci-fi film to come out that year. 1968 also saw the release of an even more influential and beloved classic in Planet of the Apes.
Why did you run away?
security police.
I'm in charge of this man.
No longer, madam. He is now in the custody of the Ministry of Science.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Following a group of astronauts stranded on an unknown planet 2,000 years in the future, Planet of the Apes would show the potential possibilities of what sci-fi stories could be on the big screen. The film is notable for its groundbreaking ape makeup effects, which had gone through numerous trials and incarnations before ending up with what was then the final product. But the film is most iconic for its twist ending, which has been referenced and parodied so many times that most who watch the film for the first time today already know it. The massive success of Planet of the Apes led to 4 sequels, which told the story of how Earth came to be taken over by apes, making Planet of the Apes the first film franchise to have an ongoing continuity, as well as becoming a merchandising juggernaut. With the success of films like 2001: A Space Odyssey and the Planet of the Apes franchise, the 1970s would usher in a whole new era of original and fantastical sci-fi films, many of which would have previously never seen the light of day. The biggest of these films came in 1977 with the release of Star Wars.
Mark Hamill.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Harrison Ford.
Boring conversation anyway.
Luke, we're gonna get company!
I think we took a wrong turn.
Carrie Fisher.
Good luck.
Alec Guinness.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
20th Century Fox presents the most extraordinary motion picture of all time, Star Wars.
Here's where the fun begins.
No legendary adventure of the past could be as exciting as this romance of the future.
Here they come.
May the Force be with you in Star Wars.
Star Wars quickly became a global phenomenon, which was a surprise to both the studio and filmmakers. Star Wars had achieved exactly what Planet of the Apes had, but on a far, far bigger scale. Thanks to George Lucas's incredibly ambitious vision, groundbreaking special effects, music, and performances, Star Wars became more than just a movie, but rather an experience that everyone wanted to see. Its originality, signature look, and iconic characters have made it one of the most beloved movie franchises in history. Star Wars would receive numerous sequels, prequels, and spin-offs, which have continued to expand the universe and delve deeper into some of its most iconic characters, as well as continuously dominating the box office. But none have made quite as much of an impact on the world as that first film in 1977. For his third feature film, director Steven Spielberg would dive into the world of sci-fi with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. With Spielberg's previous film being the massive financial and critical success of Jaws, Columbia Pictures allowed Spielberg full creative control, which gave him the right to make the film any way he wanted. Somehow, Spielberg managed to make a film that was both ahead of its time and reminiscent of the sci-fi films of the past, making Close Encounters of the Third Kind one of the most beloved films of its time. With the success of Star Wars bringing new attention to science fiction, other studios soon followed by making various science fiction films. Even James Bond got his own outer space adventure. In 1979, Paramount Pictures would revive an older sci-fi franchise for the big screen, one that had previously only existed on television.
The human adventure is just beginning. William Shatner,
take us out,
is Captain James T. Kirk. Leonard Nimoy is Mr. Spock. DeForest Kelley is Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. James Doohan is Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott. George Takei is Lieutenant Commander Sulu. Majel Barrett is Dr. Christine Chapel. Walter Koenig is Lieutenant Pavel Chekhov. Nichelle Nichols is Lieutenant Commander Uhura. Stephen Collins is Commander Willard Decker. Persis Kambata is Lieutenant Ilia. Star Trek, the motion picture.
Star Trek the Motion Picture was a box office success, but the film ultimately received mixed reviews. Although fans of the Star Trek series were pleased, many who were new to the franchise felt the film was too slow-paced compared to Star Wars. For the sequel, Paramount knew that in order for Star Trek to continue to be a success, compete with Star Wars, and bring in new audiences, they would need to up the stakes.
There she is. There she is.
Shield's collapsing, Captain.
Can you evade their power? A few shots, sir.
Not enough against their shields.
The base is starboard.
Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead.
I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me, marooned for all eternity, buried alive, buried alive.
Sean! Sean! At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
The massive success of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan led to a renewed interest in the franchise, one which would spawn multiple sequels over the course of the next 2 decades. (1979) would also see a more darker turn in the sci-fi genre. Ridley Scott's Alien would incorporate horror into science fiction unlike any film before, making new possibilities for future sci-fi films. Ridley Scott would go on to make another equally influential film, 1982's Blade Runner. Unlike Star Wars or Star Trek, Blade Runner showcased a more dystopian and grounded future. At the time, Blade Runner was a moderate success, but was nowhere near as big as a phenomenon as Alien or Star Wars. But over time, Blade Runner has become more and more recognized as an all-time sci-fi classic, and is often credited as one of the biggest influences for directors in the genre. With the success of Alien, more studios and filmmakers began to take chances on incorporating horror into sci-fi films.
Men have just discovered something. For 100,000 years, it was buried in the snow and ice. Now it has found a place to live. Inside. Where no one can see it, or hear it, or feel it.
I know I'm human. Some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? He can be one of those things!
John Carpenter's The Thing would go on to become a cult classic. John Carpenter would go on to direct the 1984 film Starman, which would show that not all visitors from outer space are as malevolent as The Thing. 1984 would also see director James Cameron showcase the possibilities of both time travel and artificial intelligence.
In the 21st century, a weapon will be invented like no other. This weapon will be powerful, versatile, and indestructible. It can't be reasoned with. It can't be bargained with. It will feel no pity, no remorse, no pain, no fear. It will have only one purpose: to return to the present and prevent the future. This weapon will be called the Terminator.
You're dead, honey.
What day is it? The date! 12th May, Thursday.
What year?
I'm here to help you. I'm Reese, DN 38416, assigned to protect you. You've been targeted for termination.
Why does it want me? Why me?
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator. Your future is in its hands.
The success of the Terminator would propel Arnold Schwarzenegger into megastardom, as well as showcasing James Cameron's abilities as a visionary filmmaker for a new and exciting era of sci-fi films. But easily, the most successful and well-remembered time travel story was the 1985 film Back to the Future. Produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Robert Zemeckis, Back to the Future became an all-time cinema classic. In addition to its successful second and third sequels, the Back to the Future trilogy has largely been considered the greatest film trilogy of all time, thanks to its signature tone, beloved characters, and incredible interconnectivity, which span all three films. Thanks to the success of films like The Terminator and Back to the Future, studios began to take even more chances on original science fiction ideas, making the 1980s a goldmine of original sci-fi films. Many of these films at the time went unnoticed, but have since gone on to become beloved cult classics. One of the most fondly remembered films of this time was the 1987 sci-fi parody Spaceballs.
Not so fast, Lone Star.
Helmet. So, at last we meet for the first time for the last time.
Before you die, there is something you should know about us, Lone Star.
What?
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
What's that make us?
Absolutely nothing.
In addition to original ideas, many beloved sci-fi films of the past would be revived. One of the most memorable was David Cronenberg's remake of The Fly, which is one of the few film remakes to be largely considered better than the original, mainly due to the incredible effects and Jeff Goldblum's equally incredible performance. That same year, Terminator director James Cameron would bring the long-awaited sequel to Alien in the form of Aliens. Much like The Fly, Aliens would surpass its predecessor in size, scale, and performance. For his next film, Cameron decided to tell another original sci-fi story in the form of 1989's The Abyss. The film is notable in that it was one of the first films to successfully use CGI for a living organism, something that would help inspire many of James Cameron's future films. After The Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger would continue to hit gold in the sci-fi genre. And then finally in 1991, Arnold would reunite with director James Cameron for Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
Same make.
These were taken at the West Highland Police Station, 1984. You were there.
Same model.
These were taken today.
You have to let me see my son. He's in great danger.
New mission. Once, he was programmed to destroy the future.
You don't know what it's like to try to kill one of these things.
Now, his mission...
Get down.
...is to protect it.
Come with me if you want to live.
You're really real.
His loyalty is to a child.
Who sent you?
You did. 35 years from now.
And his enemy...
He's a Terminator like you, right?
Not like me.
...is the deadliest machine ever built.
just can't go around killing people.
Why? If you thought you had seen it all, look again.
Stay down!
Go now!
We gotta stick together!
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Terminator 2 would go on to become the highest grossing film of the year. Somehow James Cameron once again managed to make a sequel that surpassed all expectations. After successfully using CGI effects for The Abyss, James Cameron utilized CGI once again for T2's menacing shape-shifting Terminator, the T-1000. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is now considered one of the best science fiction films, one of the best sequels, and one of the best action films of all time. With both Aliens and now Terminator 2, James Cameron proved that there is always room for improvement in the sci-fi genre, as well as earning the title King of the Sequels. Since then, multiple other directors have made sequels to both Alien and Terminator, but almost all have failed to have the same critical and financial impact of their predecessors, making the accomplishments of James Cameron's installments even more impressive. With the success of films like Terminator 2, more sci-fi films began to utilize CGI to their advantage. One of the most notable entries being the 1996 film Independence Day. Considered a significant turning point in the history of Hollywood blockbusters, Independence Day geniusly mixed the disaster genre with science fiction. With its larger-than-life effects, Independence Day quickly became a global phenomenon, becoming the highest-grossing film of the year. Following Independence Day, more filmmakers continued to mix other genres with sci-fi, one of the most beloved being the 1997 buddy cop film Men in Black.
Series 4 deatomizer. That's what I'm talking about. Noisy cricket. I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing. Oh, it gets better. Dad, we have a bug.
Unlimited technology from the whole universe, and we cruise around in a Ford POS.
Fasten your seatbelt.
See, now we got to work on your people skills.
Columbia Pictures and Amblin Entertainment present.
I knew it. This is an alien, and you guys are from some government agency trying to keep it under wraps.
Nah.
Tommy Lee Jones.
I'm gonna count to 3. He'll do it, Jeeves. 1. I'm telling you, that man does not look stable. 2.
He's always crazy. Why don't you get a massage or take a cruise?
3.
Do you have any idea how much that stings?
Will Smith.
What the hell are you?
Your world's gonna end.
In a new film from the director of The Addams Family and Get Shorty. Men in Black, protecting the Earth from the scum of the universe.
Men in Black would pave the way for other sci-fi comedy adventures, one of the most notable being the 1999 Star Trek parody Galaxy Quest.
What they got:
never give up and never surrender.
We're struggling TV actors.
You are our last hope.
Where's my limo?
Okie dokie. And they're about to put on a command performance 8 million light years away.
We are actors, not astronauts.
You are our protectors.
That was a hell of a thing.
Now,
Laredo, take us out.
You gotta move to the right.
Would you sit your ass down? You want to drive this thing?
acting like heroes.
The whole thing was just a misunderstanding.
may not be enough.
They look like little children. Hi, little guy.
I'm done. DreamWorks Pictures presents Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Galaxy Quest.
You're just gonna have to kill it.
We'll go for the mouth, the throat, his vulnerable spots.
It's a rock. It doesn't have any vulnerable spots.
Galaxy Quest would receive rave reviews. By the time the film ultimately went unnoticed. Since then, Galaxy Quest has become a beloved cult classic. By both Star Trek fans for its affectionate parody and by mainstream audiences as a classic comedy. That same year would bring a game changer to the sci-fi genre in The Matrix. The Matrix would receive widespread acclaim and was a massive box office success. The film was praised for its immersive story and imaginative special effects, the latter of which would define sci-fi and action films for the next decade.
Trinity! Help!
Entering a new century, the world of visual effects had entered a whole new phase of reality, and the 2000s would be populated by a flood of film remakes, many of which were of beloved sci-fi classics. 2009 would see the long-awaited return of James Cameron to the sci-fi genre, with the release of Avatar. Originally written in 1994, James Cameron's Avatar was originally planned for a 1999 release. The film ultimately would not see the light of day for another 10 years. Due to the necessary technology that was not yet able to achieve Cameron's vision for the film. With a budget of $237 million, Avatar would be one of the biggest undertakings by any studio or director in history. When the film was finally released, it received massive acclaim for its revolutionary visual effects. The film would go on to make $2.8 billion at the worldwide box office, making it the highest grossing film of all time. A title the film still holds to this day. The past decade has had the most amount of sci-fi films since the golden age of the 1950s. Science fiction is now more than ever deeply embedded into our pop culture. It allows our imaginations to run wild. It allows us to take a peek into our possible futures. It can be grim, it can be optimistic, it can show us our world, or it can show us another. For the way of tomorrow can be seen today.